One of the interesting things about Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali, their first fight was March 8th, 1971 at Madison Square Garden. But what was amazing was there were no satellites in those days. 300 million people around the world saw it on closed circuit. The Vietnam War stopped for 4 hours so the military could listen to it on the radio. It was the largest single sporting event in the history of the world at that time. What was fascinating, on the front cover of Life magazine is this picture of Joe and Ali. It was taken by Frank Sinatra. And the reason it was taken by Frank Sinatra is he couldn't get a ticket to the fight. And he got a job as a photographer for Life magazine. You know, you would never think that Sinatra couldn't get a ticket. Joe's key to his success was his training. After his 3-mile run in Fairmount Park, he'd run up and down the Art Museum steps. The slaughterhouse scene where he would box with the meat. He worked at Cross Brothers Slaughterhouse, and that was another episode that somehow got brought into a movie called Rocky. Joe is a fashion plate in many ways, and we had matching hats. Joe was very fashionable, very stylish, and he carried himself tremendously well. There was nothing pompous about him. One of the items that we have is an invitation from the South African Embassy in Washington, D.C., inviting Joe to come and have tea with Nelson Mandela. And Joe actually traveled to South Africa with someone else to see Mandela there as well. In fact, one of my favorite stories is when I took him on as a client. There was an event in New York where he gave his championship belt to Nelson. And I asked him, why did you do that? And he said, Les, the man fought a tougher battle than I did. He had a very strong emotional feeling about the value of this man and what this man accomplished. Joe was a role model. He was such an incredible human being in the way he reached out to people, the way he treated people. His legacy is reflected in a lot of the items. They were, in many cases, one of a kind. They reflect on this man's personality and the history, because he was history. He was an historical figure.